Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
I got a lot of people hitting me up about like what kind of books did I read while I was in prison, you know, how did I deal with anger and resentment, bitterness and stuff like that, and what I did to stimulate my mind so that I didn't become institutionalized. I spent a lot of time reading books and was laced up by a lot of really sharp guys in prison, and I focused my time on hanging out in the law library and outside of that working out. So I didn't do a lot of time, you know, messing around on the yard, playing, you know, sports or gambling or gossiping, you know, shit like that. I spent a lot of time reading when I wasn't working out. Some of the books I read, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I read this book a couple different times. I haven't read it lately, but this is one of the books that I used to kind of like read and then meditate on, you know, try to absorb a lot of the positive connotations in here. For all the people who are, you know, veterans or military, you know, I got a lot of family that's in the military, so I tried to read a lot about, you know, I wasn't anti-government even though I was locked up by the feds, so I tried to read a lot of books about people who served and getting a better understanding of just the mentality of a soldier or a person from the military. This book is pretty deep. This is a real Rambo. This is James Bro Grits. This guy went back to Vietnam quite a few times, rescued people. He was a straight G. Called to serve. Thick book. This guy's got numerous medals. He breaks down a lot of things. He talks about his service in the military. Talks about what he went through. He talks about his experience as a Green Beret. Man, this book is deep, man. I highlighted a lot of stuff in here. You know, he just breaks down a lot of shit, man. And you know, even talks about invisible government. And he talks about just what he learned as a person in the military. And he keeps it real, and he explains a lot of things that people think, you know, they understand but don't understand, stuff that people try to associate with conspiracy theories. But great book. I read this book also numerous times. The Harem Key is kind of it's a Masonic book. You know, it talks about a lot of things about symbolism, about just Egyptian history, the Harem Key, a lot of things that are relevant to what's going on in a courtroom, what's going on in politics, what's going on with the government, a lot of symbolism. You know, a lot of the stuff, you know, you look at this stuff and it talks about like rites of passage and stuff. This is a lot of stuff, you know, you go to, you get pledged in a lot of these fraternities. You got a lot of things they do, and it symbolizes certain levels or degrees. And this book, a guy put me up on, and it opened my mind up to a lot of different things, you know, educated me on a lot of history, and you know, basically got me out the dark. The Harem Key. Another great book, Neil Donald Scott Walsh, Conversations with God. I've read this book numerous times. This is actually, I believe, both book 1 and 2 and 3 all combined together. So this has all 3 books. Anytime you're feeling bad, you're feeling down, you feel like you need to pick me up, this book right here definitely lift you up. It's not religious. You know, people follow religion and they have their own beliefs, and I don't, you know, like to get into that, but when you look at history, you look at really a lot of the stories and things that were passed along, that's all religion. This is the truth. And what I mean by this is the truth is basically just a conversation. It has nothing to do with paying tithings to the church. It has nothing to do as far as your religion is better than my religion. It's just you and a conversation with God. Nothing to do with outside influences or the what do you call it? The institution that you have to adhere to. This is just you and your relationship with God. This helped me get through a lot of mentally rough times. The de facto government of the United States. So you think you know about what's going on in the government? You really don't know. Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Money is property. HGR 192. All this, is broken down in this book. And de facto, there's two different kinds of government, de facto and de jure. A lot of people don't know the difference. You run around voting. You're voting for de facto corporate government. The de jure government operates under the common law. The de facto government operates under the bankruptcy that was declared under HGR 192. And this book breaks it all down. I don't like to get into politics, but a lot of people think they're sharp in the game. They talk all this shit and they're, oh, I'm a patriot, this and that. You don't even know what a fucking patriot is because you know nothing about the common law and you know nothing about the foundations of what this government really resides on. So this book breaks it down. The origins of the common law. A lot of our laws originate from England, which is originated from laws that were established by the king and the queen and tied into the church and state. But this book breaks down a lot of that, and it kind of leads you up to the point where you can figure out what's going on with our government today. I've read this book numerous times, took a lot of notes on it, highlighted. See, I wasn't fucking off in there. I was in there educating myself. So for people to say, oh, you did time, you deserve to get punished, you should be up in there suffering. Nah, prison shouldn't be a place of fear. It shouldn't be a place where you have to worry about getting your butt took. It should be a place where you can better yourself. And that's what I did. You shouldn't have to walk around with a blinky or a shank worrying about somebody running up on you. You should be able to get your mind right so you can get out and be productive. That's the whole point of going in prison. It's not to get out and become a loser, be dependent on the government, be homeless, no job. It's not about that. You want a person to get out and do better so they don't run up in your motherfucking house and so they don't commit more crimes. Why would you want that? Why would you want people to go in there and just be fucked up? Unless he's a fucking chomo, I agree with that, or just a serial murder. But a person who goes through and commits a crime and, they're trying to do something better for themselves that has get back, hey man, you don't want that person coming out worse. You want them to educate themselves. Federal Procedures Act law suits at common law. Now, this is a serious legal book right here. I actually had this sent in pieces, had to put it all together. I mean, it's a lot of shit, man. It's a lot of information. I've read this numerous times. I studied this front and back. If I wouldn't have went to prison, if I wouldn't have kept my ass in college, I'd probably have been a lawyer because I was beasting at this shit. But I have this, and I have a bunch of other books that I took home with me, but I don't have time to go through all of them. But these are some of the books I read. And when I talk about the law and I talk about, private attorneys, public pretenders, I'm not trying to knock the system because I know public pretenders only have so much time and money they can work with and they have a caseload. But when you start reading the law, you understand really what the fuck is going on, and it gives you a better understanding of what you should have done that you didn't do. So, this is what I spent my time doing. It helped me better myself. It helped me educate myself, and it made me a better person. And there's a lot of other books, but these are just a few of the books that I read. And so if you get a chance, check them out. If you want to email me about them, hit me up. I got a lot more, but just to get your mind right.